and just check in and say thanks, and it's 50 and poke it. And so thank you for showing up. And so anyway, there's that. And this tour started in a few weeks ago in New York City. And I did a solid week there in a small place called Joe's Pub. Big fun I had. All of you know New York City, and you being city dwellers yourselves, you know the hustle and bustle of a major metropolis like the one you live in. New York City, like many of you, I've traveled fairly far and wide in my life, and to this day, New York is still the most amazing city I've ever been to. I'm from Washington, D.C., but I spent a lot of time in New York. My mother was a New Yorker, so on some weekends she dragged me up there so she'd get her fix. She missed the city. And so I have a million New York stories, and that if you're there for just 5 seconds, all of a sudden you've accrued about 50. Because there's something about New Yorkers, and many of you have been to New York, those of you who have not, you know enough about New York to know it is a big, loud city that is dynamic and completely intense, and it's very, very physical. Where I live in Los Angeles, quite often you're in your car. You don't walk anywhere. Like for me to walk from my place to anywhere 3 miles later, I'd still be walking to the supermarket. And that's kind of how that stucco killing field is laid out. It's just very fast and kind of same, and you got to drive to it. In New York, it's a lot of pedestrian traffic, and it's a touchy-feely city in that you bump into people, you smell them, they talk to you. It's a tactile city. In the subways, you're dry humping some man. You get a phone number, and your face is in someone's hair because it's just the compression. And so when I used to live in New York on and off, my bandmates were New Yorkers, and so I gravitated to them and lived in the East Village. And I'd have to get myself sometimes psyched up in my small apartment before I'd leave. Because it'd be on as soon as I left the building. Okay, I can do this. And I'd walk out. And within 5 or 10 paces, some guy like, oh, shit! Oh, damn, hold up. Oh, I'm a liar, right? Oh, damn, I thought you'd be taller. There's nothing you can do about that. And so people, they poke you and you, it's like that. And so primarily, I used to be in New York quite a bit for band practice and whatnot, but the first time I went to New York, on and on, was when I was in Black Flag. We would perform there quite often. And like many bands, like a lot of the great bands from this area, lived in a van perpetually on the road. Because like the story of a lot of independent bands in the 80s was if you did not play, you did not eat. And so you did as best you could on the road, you get a few $100, and you get to the next venue, repair broken gear, somehow feed yourselves, and put enough gas in the van to limp down the road. And that was the story of Black Flag for the most part. And so New York was one of those places in our endless lap around America where we would visit quite often. Chicago was another. We would come here quite often, and you were always really great to us. And so New York, I never did a show in New York that was free of an event. I mean, it was always something in those days. It was never, you'd play a show like, we played New York, and nothing, moving on. It was always something. And early on, we were playing away. I was a very young man, and the audience is broiling away. And I see a man running towards me. I could pick him out because he had a large mohawk. So I just like hairy dorsal fin. He's running out. And his mouth is open and his tongue is sticking out. He's like, running at me, tongue first. And I guess, you can take that as an amorous advance. And had someone done that to me, like, I don't know, last night at this show, I would have probably taken that incoming passion a bit differently than I did all those years ago, where I would have went, oh, stop it. And put my index finger on his thumb on his tongue, went, now, I'm not cut from that bolt of cloth, but thank you, because at this point, any interest in me on that level, I'll take. Thank you. If it has a pulse and it says, hey, you have to go, thank you, because that's not going to be one of my problems. I'm not going to be burdened with that for much longer. And so anyway, this man was coming at me, tongue first. And I was in the middle of a song, you're really into it. And so I figured it was time for me to neutralize the target. Because we have at least 80 more songs to do. So tapping what I knew about the good people from Glasgow, how they take care of things on a Saturday night. BAM! I put my head down on him, and he was out. And about a moment later, a very angry man walked up to me and thrust out his palm that had inside it this bloody pool of spit with 2 front teeth floating in it. And that was the guy's teeth. I was like, and I went back to playing away. And so we come to the end of the show, and we leave, and we were sleeping in some dive in the East Village, like someone's apartment. We're all in there. And in the morning, Greg Ginn, the leader of Black Flag, wakes me up. You gotta call Billboard Magazine. They want to talk to you. Like, wow, we're going to be in Billboard Magazine, big time. He said, no, you're going to be in Billboard Magazine. And he gave me the number that we're supposed to call and the stolen credit card number, which is how we made long-distance calls in those days. Thank you, Colgate, Boeing, whoever it was. And so I go to some payphone outside, and I call this number, and I'm talking to some journalist whose name has long as escaped me. And he said, so I want you to tell me about what happened to your show last night. Well, we played, it was cool. No, about the fight you got in. Well, I didn't get in a fight. Oh, yeah, the guy with the tongue and yeah. Because in those days, it's not like I'm a tough guy and I'm looking for trouble, but that kind of thing happened all the time. There's just a lot of intensity in those days, and fights were just kind of like, you just kind of did it as part of it. At least for me, not so much the other guys in the band. They all get behind me and watch. Anyway, in those days, it was like kind of beat on the singer. That was the thing. And so anyway, I said, yeah, the guy ran at me with his tongue. I bopped him on the head with my head, and then I guess I knocked his teeth out. And I forget what song that was in the middle of. And so I said, and what else? And he said, that was Richie Stotts of the Plasmatics. Way to go. And oh well, so I knocked the teeth out of the guy. Used to play a chainsaw or something. Seems like a nice enough guy, I guess. On that night, I felt inspired, and that's how I got in Billboard first time. How did you get in? Anyway, a while later, we're playing there, and different venue. I think that happened at the Peppermint Lounge. I think we're somewhere else, and the audience is going nuts. And this huge man gets on stage, and he has this black flat top, long military trench coat, black army boots, and he makes this a few laps around the stage, this obligatory oval, to get momentum. He throws himself off stage like this fleshy Manny Hindenburg, and he goes forward a few feet and then gravity. And the veteran concert goers below him, they see the light change. And they know that if the light changes, you don't even have time to look up though the light is changing because a man's obscuring the ceiling light. All you have time to do is go. And so these people scurry like the bugs when you turn the light on in the morning. And so they go, except for one girl who didn't get the memo. And she had half a nanosecond of, where'd everyone go? And this guy lands on her with the entirety of his body weight. And for a moment, no one moves. Because the guy is face down, arms and legs spread eagle, completely obscuring the girl underneath. And the entire audience and band are like, is he alive? And finally a rescue team comes in like, all right, ready lads? Yeah, they roll this big bastard off this girl who's on her back. She's alive! And people pick her up and shake her, and she and staggers off. And everyone gives her a roaring round of applause. Like, she made it, she's alive, she survived the big fat bastard who dropped on her. And we kept on playing, and that was the end of that. And months later, we returned to New York for another show, and it's sound check time. There's no one in the venue but us and some crew people. And a girl walks across the empty dance floor and walks right up to the front of the stage, no barricade, put her elbows down, looked up to me and said, hello. I said, how do you do? Because I'm polite like that most of the time. And she said, do you remember me? And I said, no, I'm sorry, I don't. And she said, remember the last time you were here? This guy got on stage. I said, are you the girl that landed on? She said, yeah. I said, damn, I saw that from up here. It looked awful. And I saw you standing there looking around and bam! And I said, we were all so happy you're okay. And I forget what she referenced. But she said, actually, I didn't really turn out to be okay. She pulls down her lower lid of one of her eyes and she said, this is a glass eye. He took my eye out. And I didn't know how to respond to that because there's nothing funny and nothing you can say can put the eye back in place. And so I'm sure I said, I'm so sorry, you didn't deserve that. And I'll never forget what she said. She said whatever I said, she responded with, don't worry about it, it's cool, I'll see you tonight. She turned around and she left. And to my knowledge, I never met her again. She could have been at one of those shows a few weeks ago, I don't know. But it was one of those perfectly awful things, in that you can't make it